Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning into the Sci-Fi Academia YouTube channel. This is a show we have called The Book Wormhole, where we talk about books. Sometimes they're even science fiction books. And because we are talking about science fiction books, I figured today I would talk about the book that is largely cited as the first ever piece of science fiction. Now, it is quite debatable over whether or not that's actually true, but you've seen the title of the video, you know what we're here for. We're here for the book Frankenstein. I read this book for the first time, and very good. This is a very good book. It's very sort of gothic, poetic in the way it's written. The terminology people use in this book is just absolutely beautiful. I really liked this book. And I'm sure that won't be too surprising to any of you who look around at the aesthetic of this YouTube channel. You'll probably kind of see that this is a book that was almost made for me. But it's more than just gothic science fiction. I think this book is really interesting in the way of themes. For example, a theme that is largely cited as being like the main theme of this book is the danger of ambition. The book opens not actually with Dr. Frankenstein, but rather with a sailor. And the sailor is on this ambitious journey that would likely put him and his fellow sailors in danger. And then eventually that man would meet Frankenstein. Frankenstein would tell the story of how he created a dude. So there's this theme of like, ambition can be dangerous, right? Don't be overcome by ambition, which I think is quite an interesting theme. It obviously also ties in to the largely forgotten second title of the book, A Modern Prometheus. Prometheus being, of course, the god that brought fire to humanity. Fire being a very dangerous thing, so I think there is that sort of element of, like, the danger of ambition. And I think there's another theme I kind of picked up on that I've never heard anyone sort of talk about. And of course, different people will draw different meanings from books, whether it's what the creator intended or not. And one of those things that I drew from this book was the importance of friendship. One of the very first things that's said in the book by the sailor, the framing device is that he's writing letters to his sister, and he's kind of says how he can't find a friend, right? He doesn't have a friend on this boat with him, and how that's kind of sad and disappointing for him. And then as we move forwards into the book, as we jump into Frankenstein's story, we see time and time again him sort of just like running on about the people that are close to him and how they mean so much to him, how he can see the world a little bit brighter through their eyes. And it's absolutely beautiful. I feel as though there's almost, we've forgotten some of that beauty of friendship, and this book does a good job of telling me, like, just showing how beautiful friendship can be. And as we move forwards, a lot of the reason that the book gives for the monster being evil, Frankenstein's creature, the fiend he creates, the book, by the way, side note, the book calls him a fiend, it calls him a wretch, it calls him a demon, it just uses all this poetic sort of like gothic, almost religious language throughout the book, which is really interesting and just makes the book really sort of beautiful to read. But the reason that's kind of given for the monster to be evil and start killing is because he doesn't have a friend. He's the only one of his kind. And as I'm sure many of you know, the monster wants Frankenstein to create him another monster that he can be with and that he can be friendly with, right? And that's kind of, if you've seen the old Universal Frankenstein movies, that was sort of wrapped into the Bride of Frankenstein, but here it is present in the book. So there's just this idea of the monster just longs so hard for friendship, much like the sailor from the beginning, but he can't find it because he's this sort of abomination, and that's just so very interesting to me. It's also interesting, the book talks about how, like, Frankenstein, and by Frankenstein I'm talking about the monster here, but he was created to look beautiful, and it was only after, like, Frankenstein created the creature that he was like, oh, all these traits that are supposed to be beautiful are actually kind of scary and unsettling. And it's just interesting because that's an element that I've never seen adapted into any of the movies or anything like that. Besides, there is one, I want to say it's The Curse of Frankenstein, made by Hammer Films, where it kind of leans into Frankenstein wanting to make, like, the most the creature to be beautiful, but not quite in the same way the book does, I feel. The book, at least to me, kind of presents it as, like, this uncanny valley, where, like, we see that a lot in the modern day, where with, like, AI art, or, like, people getting all of these surgeries to make them look more beautiful, and then they end up just looking, like, kind of weird and off-putting to us, even though they have all the traits that we supposedly consider to be beautiful. Anyway, it's all very interesting, very good. A high recommendation from me for this book. If you like gothic vibes, I would recommend this book, but also if you like symbolism and stuff like that. But I would be happy to hear, if you read the book, what have your takeaways been from the book? What do you think the themes are? I really think I'm onto something, saying that it is the importance of friendship. I kind of feel like that is a big part of this book. Like I said, I would love to hear any of your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching me talk about this lovely, lovely book for a little bit. And if you're a Frankenstein fan, a Frankenstein stan, I did a review of the Netflix Frankenstein made by that one director that I'm too scared to pronounce his name, which was also a very lovely movie. I liked that one quite a lot. I'll link that there. I'll link it in a playlist, so that if I ever make any Frankenstein videos in the future about other movies, or maybe there will be another Frankenstein book, I don't know, I'll put all of the Frankenstein things in that playlist, so you can watch all Frankenstein, all my Frankenstein videos. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to brush your teeth. Bye-bye now. I've created a monster!